Today's gospel takes us on a journey. Hopefully you like journeys as much as I do. You like to be on the go? I bet some of us are homebodies, aren't we? Yet nonetheless, today we go on a journey. We go with our Lord, and where is he going? Well, Luke tells us he's heading to Jerusalem. So we'll go with, right? Or might we have some other things we need to do first? It is my hope that all of us here tonight, and those even here not here tonight, it is my hope that each and every one of us on this journey we call life, hopefully each and every one of us have had the privilege and the opportunity to have two great teachers in our life. And these great teachers have a name. And their names are affirmation and critique. They're beautiful teachers. They're called affirmation and critique. Hopefully, each and every one of us on this journey of life, and as we set out with Jesus on this road, this journey to Jerusalem, hopefully each and every one of us will have the opportunity to encounter these two teachers, because it's true, they're great teachers, affirmation and critique. Why? Both of them afford us opportunities to learn. Both of those teachers afford us the opportunity to grow. Both of those teachers afford you and I the opportunity to understand who we are and who we still perhaps need to become. Affirmation and critique, they're beautiful teachers. And if you think about it, as certainly I have, some of the best teachers that I've had going through the school system, whether it be Catholic school, whether it be public school, whether it be my time at the university, why, the best teachers that I ever had were those men and women who afforded me both affirmation and critique. Who doesn't like to be affirmed? Affirmation reminds us that perhaps we're doing something right. Maybe we share something that is similar to somebody else, and so the affirmation comes that route. But all of us, why we need affirmation along the journey of life, because of course it reassures us and it gives us the strength to be able to stay on the path, to stay on that road, to be able to not lose sight or to lose our way. So affirmation is incredibly, incredibly important. And we welcome that teacher. It's the other teacher that perhaps we're not so warmly welcoming into our life, and yet that teacher is important too. It's called critique, or as Luke tells us in today's gospel, it's also known as rebuke. Jesus is constantly rebuking the disciples. And we think of rebuke and we think of it as a negative thing, much like we think of criticism or being critiqued as a negative thing. And sometimes it is negative because, of course, it's not done in Christian charity. But my friends, critique or being rebuked in a spirit of kindness and a spirit of Christian charity can be an incredible vehicle of growth and opportunity for each and every one of us. So on this journey, as we set out with our Lord, along with the other disciples, why Jesus takes the opportunity, like the great teacher that he is, to do some rebuking, some critiquing, and using that as one of the great teachers for his disciples. Why the sons of thunder, James and John, they figured they got it all figured out, because of course there's this town, a Samaritan town, that doesn't welcome the Lord. So what did they want to do? Let's call down fire from heaven to consume them. Retribution, retaliation, revenge. It's what the sons of thunder think might be the best route to go. So Jesus, Luke tells us, rebukes them. He critiques them. And critique, rebuke, is to have you and I look upon what it is our mindset is, and to recognize that when we need to be critiqued and rebuked, it's usually because our mindset is not in harmony with kingdom living. Our mindset is not in harmony with kingdom living. It's why Jesus has to rebuke along the way, on the journey to Jerusalem. He rebukes James and John, the sons of thunder, and he reminds them in the rebuking that their mindset to consume this town, because they simply won't welcome them, is not the answer. And so Jesus says to them, that is not the mindset of kingdom living. No, the mindset is not of revenge and retaliation and retribution, but rather it is forgiveness. It's simply continuing along the way, because sometimes, for whatever reason, people don't welcome us. People don't like us. And we don't like them. And that's okay. Because Paul tells us in today's second reading, it's not about liking people, but rather the entire law is summarized in this one statement: love one another, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So it's not about liking, it's about loving. And the way in which we love is, of course, we recognize that we don't seek revenge and retaliation. We don't send down fire from heaven to consume people, but rather we simply try to forgive. And if forgiveness is not to be had, what does Jesus do with James and John? They continue on the way. They don't condemn. They don't consume. They don't retaliate. They just keep on the journey. And then there's the other disciple who, of course, proclaims that why he or she's going to follow Jesus wherever he goes, because, of course, what they're looking for is glory. And so Jesus rebukes that supposed follower and simply says, foxes have dens and birds have nests, but this guy, this Son of Man, me, has nowhere to lay his head. So if you think following me is all glory, think again. It's going to involve some sacrifice. So Jesus critiques, he rebukes the mindset that following is going to be all roses. And then there's that would-be follower that, of course, wants to follow, but seems to think that he needs to go back and bury his father first. You and I, certainly we find that harsh, don't we, of our Lord? What is he thinking? Why wouldn't he allow this person to go back and to bury his own beloved father and then to follow? Jesus is not saying that we shouldn't care about our loved ones who have died. What he's saying is that the kingdom is about continually staying on the path and continually moving forward. Not going back, but moving forward. It's a mindset that you and I so oftentimes struggle with because, of course, we're always thinking about the things of this world. And it consumes our every waking moment. And we forget, of course, that kingdom living is about focused on a life that is still lying before us. So today, on this 13th Sunday in ordinary time, you and I are on a journey. You and I are heading to Jerusalem, and we know what that means. But along the way, you and I are presented and we encounter good teachers indeed. The teachers of affirmation who encourage us and invite us to stay on the path that we are walking, because confident that in doing so we will continue to conform our lives to that of Christ. And along the way, when we find ourselves struggling, when we find ourselves with our mindset not being that of the kingdom, why then we need the teacher of rebuke, we need the teacher of critique, we need the teacher that reminds us that kingdom living is about forgiveness, and it is about service, and it is about reconciliation, and most importantly, it is about love. So the journey continues. Are we up for it? Are we ready? Will we be willing to follow him.